Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen alike. We are here with some more Open Division. It is now day 2. We have whittled it down to the top 32 teams, and we are currently looking at the winners bracket round 4. I'm Simbabble, joined here by Jace, and we have got quite the lineup coming up with us very shortly, don't we?
Yes, we do. We've got two good teams here. They've made a good run. Top 32 in OD, especially the winners bracket. I say it every year. It's always where we sort of separate the men from the boys, the gamers from the wannabes. I don't think that's going to catch on, but nonetheless, what will catch on is one of these teams progressing to top 16. Actually, no, top 24, because I can't count. It'll be very impressive. So, who are the two teams you have? I hear you ask in the chat. We've got Altiera Sequoia. I'm going to butcher that a couple times. However, I'll get it by the end, I swear. And we've got Half Pace. Two fairly new teams, but it looks like from the team sheets at least, players taken from all sorts. These are names I recognise specifically in previous teams. Fifth Dimension, Incendia, Swag, Celestial Dragons, Pachimari, HGS, Stellator Raiders, all of the lot. So I'll give you the full team sheet now, actually. On your left side, on the blue side, I believe we have Half Pace, who are, sorry, 1 second, Mr. Dragon Lol, Killer, Demi, Kex, Jock, and Ilpi. And then for Altiora Sequoia, we've got Kyo, Loot Star, Decay, Aether, Sandbox, and Suyoku.
Yeah, and the thing is that with this half-pace team, they do threaten to be quite the foe, as we do have, veterans coming in from Incendia Esports who have done wonderful things. We're looking at the Will English Invitational. They've done some really good stuff. They've done really well in Open Div in the past. We've also got Fifth Dimension alumni coming in as Killer there, and we've got Ilpi as well for Half Pace. So they really do threaten to be the big bad giants of this series. And Altiora Sequoia, a pretty new team by the looks of it. They've got one accolade on their chest. They have won the Community Clash 2021 for DreamHack, or rather they came second place, mind. That is all they've got to go with. So, money down. We're looking at Half Pace as favorites, right?
Oh, I think absolutely, particularly because of the meta that always transpires in OD, which I'll get to in a second. They've got some very good combos that have played together before. They've got, the main tank and the hit scan from Incendia Esports, which means that Winston Tracer or Ball Tracer should be practiced, should be coordinated.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the thing, when we're getting into these early stages as well, we're not quite sure on what the meta should be at the moment.
No.
Obviously, we had those hit scan nerfs a while back, and I still think even at the Overwatch League level, because they've got bans to work with as well, there's not been a non-ban meta actually established as being the best at the moment. In your professional big brain opinion, Jace, what do we see coming into this meta with the slight nerfs to the hit scans and projectiles maybe getting their time in the sun now?
Yeah, so finally, after quite literally half a decade, by the way, because it has been 5 years, hit scans have, I think, not been knocked off their perch. They're still very good and they're still playable. Some of the nerfs particularly are minor, but there are some big points, some big areas in the game where they are toned down and they honestly drop off. Think Junkertown first, think Gibraltar first, think Havana first, think Route 66 first, think Route 66 second. We said this before we went live, and we were joking about it in the Caster's voice chat. Every time I always say double bubble, rush, double shield, fundamentally good comps. And what have we seen in the past? Ball Sig. We've seen some Torbjorn in the past as well. Torbjorn always pops its head up in OD. It's finally seen its place in Overwatch League as well as a response to the ball, that overload from the Swedish warlord himself, making it very difficult to be one-shot, to be power-drived. If you deny that main win condition, which is the all-in from the Wrecking Ball, you're kind of vibing. So it's something I expect to see. I think I've heard from Ocean that people who used to coach, I believe, the main tank for Half Pace does have a strong Wrecking Ball. So that's something we're probably going to see. Is it looks like we are going to be heading into Busan for that first map. I love Busan because we get the opportunity to see every kind of composition on this map. That's pretty much it. Brawl, double bubble, double shield. Like, you can play them on one of the each. As I said, I can be more specific when we get into that point. But if we're ever going to get a taste of what the meta is and what these teams are going to show us, Busan should give us a nice 3-course flavor if we manage to get to the 4-3 rounds, obviously.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If we get to those that third round on Busan, that this isn't 100-0 to half pace here. I mean, they are definitely the favorites coming in, but Sequoia hopefully going to put up one hell of a fight and could certainly upset as well, because we are in such an early stage of the tournament. This is exactly, again, what we were talking about before, Jace, is that the dust hasn't settled still. We don't know who the top dogs are. And just because half pace do have these big names behind them, the previous teams of Fifth Dimension, Incendia, those types of teams, we don't know what they're going to be like in a different structure. We don't know what they're going to away from the core of their previous teams and how they're going to manage. So this certainly is that they are ready to going to be a test. Now, we did talk about seeing Brawl, and EU is infamous or famous, depending on how you want to throw it in there. They are infamous for throwing the Brawl about. I mean, if you are an underdog team, do you just try and force a Brawl? Do you try and force something, I want to say simple, but it's not quite simple, fundamental, that then sort of helps you upset a tougher opponent, Jace? Or do you just go for meta because you're in the winner's bracket and you can afford to take an L and go through the loser's bracket?
I don't want to sound like a politician and dodge the question, but I think you've got to play. I think you've got to play what you practiced.
Fair enough.
Unfortunately for Rush, there is a very couple of points where it's still viable. Kings Row, Lijiang Tower. Obviously, we've seen the rise, the priority of Sim, and a lot of teams have been very inventive with that. But unfortunately for Ryan-based comps right now, yes, the Lucio speed boost, untouched. Hit stand nerfs slightly alter them because of that McCree and that Baptiste ability to deal with something like a Pharah. For example, even just having one Cree was enough to check a Pharah against some comps. But Reinhardt's, I think, very unfavorable matchup into something like a Sigma and a Wrecking Ball mean that it's very difficult to run Ryan comps. Unless you have someone like Cloudy on your team, like, it's going to be difficult. But obviously still playable. Your Reinhardt just needs to be a mega mind in playing an RTS. In my own personal opinion.
It doesn't. 100%. We're seeing a Slambulance coming out from Sequoia here. They're looking like they're going to run this Winston Diva Lucio Moira as they are going to clash in the center here with this just damage coming in on top of the Sigma. Mr. Dragon going to fall to decay there on that Winston leading the charge. That one pick very, very crucial as Ilk will clap back, but the damage potentially already done here. That being said, we're looking like a clash on the point going to be happening as the Wrecking Ball has already set themselves up to cap this point and will be finding the picks onto the Slambulance here. Certainly the big bad giants of half pace going to be finding their 2 cents here as they haven't captured the point quite yet. Samwalk's not quite done just yet. There are just casualties either side, Jace.
That's a quick call. Yeah, it's a really quick call. I'm actually not quite sure who's winning this. It's trades back and forth. That Sombra for Kia Altiera is really, really key. The longer that fight goes on, the EMP will absolutely end it. Ilp's absolutely got to be the target. It looks like they've got the match of kept those. This is good progression for Altiera so far.
It certainly is, and as the time ticks up, I mean, we're seeing the picks go in the favor of half pace, but they've still got a lot of work to do to clear off the point here. As there we go, the grapple kill onto Luke, and that's going to flip the point for them. Only 22% going in for Sequoia, but that's still 22%.
Yeah, 22% is going to matter. That gives them basically a fight if you think about it. Looks like the stream is stabilizing, so I'm ready to go. Probably some ping issues on my end, but nonetheless, it is just about trying to race to this EMP for Altiera, but luckily now that half pace have the cap, they can just chill. They probably will lose to these ultimates eventually. They know that they will lose to these ultimates eventually, but it's just about a waiting game, as I said. Control priority of this objective, so important.
And the Transcendence available from LP as well is going to have to try and get rid of that Transcendence as the self-destruct does go over the top of Killer. Going to finish off Aether there. Keo also falling, so no EMP available as Mr. Dragon battered from the post here. Decay going to town. He will be finished off, but does get that environmental kill nonetheless. And this has been an absolute bloodbath so far by the subway station as Deme picks up Lookstar again with that grapple kill. Going to be holding on to this, and all the while the point is ticking up in favor of half pace. They hold on to it, and this EMP going to come online.
The EMP is ready to go. Will it be committed? I think it will. Does it get 1 or 2. I think it absolutely does. The transfer from LP though is going to keep them very healthy, but might be too little, too late. Looks like they've all fallen down. There we go. I think that should be the flip any second now. There we go. So they get it at about 26. They do spend that EMP, so it was a very expensive fight for both teams. And absolutely, I think this benefits this retake here for this attacking side of Half Pace. It's just about how they set it up. Their main killer, Synergy, as we said before, playing for Incendia before. It's just about setting up the off angles. For Altiera, can they find this wrecking ball? Can they land the hacker in? They can get onto the ball if they can get onto the Zen, and no. The K falls only to the hands of Mr. Dragon Lol.
Yeah, Killer going to be finishing off the Moira as well, so that's just as quick as you like. That fight likely going to be over. That being said, maybe I spoke too soon. Ilp and Dene will fall down as the stick goes through onto Dragon. Going to be taken out by that, and that's a lot of damage done, but Lukestar will go down to his own pulse bomb as well as the rest come through onto Ilpy. This is getting to be final fight territory now, and this self-destruct finds absolutely nothing. Disaster coming in, but Half Pace keeping up with the pace here as Aether goes for the remake. This is looking pretty good for Half Pace. Now with the big double! The double environmental kill coming out. The heroic play from Sandbox going to keep this alive for Sequoia, and they're going to maintain control over the point, and now they've got an EMP.
Absolutely they do, and it could be penultimate fight. Sandbox nets himself a 3k on that boop. They all go on that train to Busan. Great film, ladies and gentlemen. If you've not seen it, I thoroughly recommend it. And this is so good for them, right? They've got this high ground control. They have to walk into the EMP. They're going to walk very fast because of the speed at which this board comp can engage. But if Tio can hit this, if he can find the backline, it's going to be absolutely golden, and probably first point for Altiora.
Oh, Keel goes down! They don't get to use the EMP! Disaster strikes for Sequoia, and there was no Transcendence on the other side, so Decay happy to pick up the kill onto Ilpy there. The very vulnerable Zenyatta in the backline gonna go down, but the Valkyrie going to be keeping everyone from Half Pace in this game as Dene picks a kill. The Hainu gonna find one as well as Killer goes crazy. The EMP now maybe too little too late. The ultimate's already out and in favor of Half Pace as Lipstar goes off the edge there, takes a short walk into a big old train, and that surely no one's going to be able to touch and deal with that, and if they do, the Transcendence on Self-Destruct is online. Beat comes through to try and contest now, and it's absolutely desperation hour for Sequoia here, Jace.
It is. Can they do anything with it? I'm not quite sure. They were down on ultimates. That EMP was committed, but they were 4 down. The ultimate's not too valuable on that flip side, but I think it probably should just be the cap for Half Pace from some heroics from that McCree. Still a skirmish shown in on the point. There's so many bodies down, not quite sure. I am trying to just figure out who's alive and who isn't. It's Manic on the point. It's Manic off the point.
Yeah, Mr. Dragon. Yeah, Mr. Dragon Lol comes up big, and we do finally see. Apologies, we are getting some issues with the broadcast on our end, but we should have them all sorted out.
Ready for battle. Best up the tempo. New high score.
Wait to get into the fight.
Game up. As he said, 6-man rush. The name implies it, right? You have to stack and 6-man, but Half Pace did a great job of splitting up that 6-man, of creating 2v2s, of creating split fights by trading back and forth, and when they trade back and forth, it's always going to benefit the better team individually, the better team mechanically, and the better comp on that individual basis, and that absolutely was Half Pace's comp there with that ball and that D.Va.
It really was, and now we are seeing the two teams clash. I mean, that's already just completely wiped out here as we're seeing Killer go to town on that Doomfist, as well as Dragon, who has had such a good game on this McCree so far, picking up picks, and the brawls coming through. You would assume that Half Pace not going to be able to keep up, but they certainly have been able to do so, and they are just taking that point with an iron-like grip on that first fight, looking oh so very good, and the Shatter nearly available now, coming in for Half Pace.
Yeah, they've got the chokehold on this game, metaphorically and literally, with that control of that first point. That's an early cryo, though, committed from the May of Luchstar. Can they punish? It's all about this from Killer, but Mr. Dragon Lol, as I say, that finds 3. That's 3. Such important pick. That's basically the entire front line wiped out, and with 23% early in the fight, just to win off that high noon. So big, huge high noon. How does he do it, Mr. Dragon Law, man? Absolutely going Cowboy Bebop on this McCree.
He
just
really
going
did.
crazy.
Yeah, this shatter looks like it wants to be dropped down before the meteor strike from Killer getting 2 there. Taking out the Baptiste and the May. Enormous value kills now as Half Pace pushing all the way up to the spawn doors. They're really feeling themselves here. This shatter still being held by Daymay as well. Going to be available for them, but the Blizzard, more importantly perhaps for Sequoia, going to be so imperative here as we look to Kex. Going to have that defense matrix online. The rotation coming down just straight to point. They don't want to fight in this choke as the self-destruct from Kex going to be let loose. Does find Decay, and the remake kill onto the McCree takes him out just before the high noons online as well. And this is looking like it's very possibly final fight territory now for Half Pace as they really notched it up into 6th gear.
It really could be in the tempo that they're playing is borderline perfect. They have to just honestly borderline grief on them. They have Killer on that Doomfist, so they need quick picks. As if this Reinhardt from Deme gets walled, then it's going to be ropes. Yes, they have a Baptiste lamp, but that's going to be too little, too late most of the time. And that Doomfist falling early at the hands of Kyo could potentially be a window for TRL. Let's see what they can do with it.
Yeah, there we go. And the shatter was blocked as well, so nothing available there. Daymay misses his opportunity, does take a pin into his own hands, however, and will finish off the Lucio here. Decay going down, and that's going to be the flip coming through for Sequoia. Finally, they managed to get themselves onto the point with some heroics from the Reinhardt there to open it up. The block on the shatter and the pin onto the Lucio. And Sequoia, no intention of stopping anytime soon. They go and find the stragglers, and now they're the ones in control.
Yeah, there we go. Really clean play as well. It was potential that, considering it was final fight, that they panic and maybe overruled, but nice patience. They commit pretty much, I'm sure, only the high noon from Keo, and they've got 5 ultimates here, and if they manage to snowball them correctly with 24% with this open hold, they could at least get a good percentage. That's a Blizzard eat, though, from Kez onto Lootstar. That's huge. No Blizzard, the most important ultimate in this comp, gone for Altiora.
Yep, self-destruct out now from Aether as well. They need to hold on to this, so they might have to throw everything in the kitchen sink at it, especially with that Blizzard missing. They look as though they've stabilized, however, and that is such an important ultimate, like you said, now missing as Tsuku in trouble, down to the high noon, and it's a second wave of damage coming in from Half Pace now, of just completely blindsided Sequoia. They onto the point, and the DPS from Half Pace are going absolutely wild on Busan, and now the overtime ticking down here. Disastrous as nobody, it seems, from Sequoia can get the touch. They don't do it, and Busan goes the way of Half Pace.
Half Pace open it up, and with some very impressive performances showing from their DPS. Mr. Dragon Law played this McCree for those 2 maps, and kind of went crazy. We're going to see the boop here from Sandbox come in on the stream. Yeah, it was a really nice boop. They went coast. They got punished for it. Bye-bye into the train lines. You go, but that was... it was a highlight, sort of maybe too little, too late for Altiora Sequoia, unfortunately. Half Pace, I think, were kind of in control pretty much the whole map. They didn't play the May, but they didn't need the May.
No, they really didn't. I mean, they had the Doomfist, right? They had the Doomfist, and it just operates at a much higher caliber of pace than the May does. You need to operate a good wall to then reconvene in on it. But if you play the Doomfist, you've just got that, one-hit KO potential coming in every 4-5 seconds. And that really played into Mecha Base, where the DPS of Half Pace just absolutely dominated the battlefield for a long time there. Like you said, Mr. Dragon on that McCree looked unstoppable. He was getting so much value from High Noon, of all things, which we don't associate as being a high-value ultimate. And they were still finding space to make High Noon get double, triple kills. So very well played from Half Pace, but something from Sequoia has really got to change to pressure these DPS out, because at the moment, they are free as a bird.
Absolutely. Can they slow the game down? Can they smother? It's going to be a very difficult task for that diva of Altiora to contain both of these DPS. But the compositions that we're seeing Half Pace play, I'm sure you'll agree with me, Sim, it's just so much front-loaded damage. This damage is all coming quick, fast, and at the start of the fight. If Altiora can find a way to slow the game down, to drag it out, they're going to win the lung fight every time. All the comps they're playing absolutely dominate, and they win in these lung fights. If they can get 1, 2, 3 rotations of these cooldowns coming out, they will just outvalue Half Pace on paper, compositionally. I think it's a lot harder to make these mistakes once they manage to sort of get these tussles going down, but half pace now really throwing everything and the kitchen sink into this first brawl, into this first scuffle, and getting value off it, getting these picks, overforcing resources from Altiora, and then kind of taking it to the bank. Both of these teams, though, have been really clean with these cleanups, and particularly in that brawl comp that we saw on Mecha Base is so vital. We're going to transition over to Altiora, get the map pick. They're going to send us to Watchpoint Gibraltar, and perfect map to slow the game down. You've got so much free cart, so much push on the defense first. You get blue box, very, very standard. One of just the most played. And I think Watchpoint, at this point in Overwatch, before the dawn of Overwatch 2 and 5v5, it's a solved map, I think, ladies and gentlemen. We know what heroes are good on Watchpoint. We're not going to see anything out the bag, anything too wacky. We may see a Sim TP right at the start of the fight. We may see a Bastion in the overtime. But, for most of it, very standard. It's going to be Winston, D.Va, pretty much any hero with high mobility. Ana should be played as well. Sometimes Zenyatta. Brig, probably going to be good. Mercy the same as well. Just a very solid map, very simple, and simple game plan is going to be all Altiora needs to hopefully get back on board and tie up the series.
Yeah, and that's what I was actually going to bring to your attention as well, is that maybe that's the key for Sequoia, is that they need a Zenyatta or something that can really pump damage and punish the aggression coming in from half pace. Because if we do have Dame on the Wrecking Ball for Gibraltar as opposed to the Winston, with no shield to block LOS on that Discord orb, it could really be a moment to punish him and could force him onto Winston. Now, I'm sure he's a very capable Winston, but we do know that his Wrecking Ball is his ace in the hole. That's his go-to pick. So even just getting him to swap off that might change up the game plan for half pace. It might set them off their rhythm a little bit. So perhaps a Discord is the key to victory for Sequoia. As for half pace, I don't see any reason for them to switch off the Wrecking Ball and the Sigma. You can run both of those heroes pretty confidently. I mean, if you want to sub in a D.Va for the Sigma there, you can, but he offers so much stability either on the cart or he offers it onto the high ground so that the Wrecking Ball is kind of free to go wherever he wants. Especially, I'm thinking on second point for Gibraltar, if you get Sigma up on the perches and up into the ship, it gives your Wrecking Ball so much free space to just go crazy because you've got no hit scan or nothing up on those high grounds because he's so frightened, or the opposing team is so frightened of the Sigma on high ground. So I think that this is a really good map pick for half pace, even though Sequoia have picked it.
I think I'm going to agree, and especially you mentioned that Sigma. That Sigma's not going alone, right? He's probably going with a hit scan or a Brigitte, potentially even a Zen as well. And what makes Ball Sig so good on this map is because they are both very self-sufficient. Ball has pretty much anti-synergy with every tank in the game. The speed, the pace at which Wrecking Ball can engage, just no other tank in the game can keep up. The best tank to pair, probably in my opinion, is this Sigma because of the 3-3 split, but the best tank actually to support the ball will be the Zarya because of that bubble that you can put onto that Wrecking Ball. But you play Ball Zarya on this map, just play Winston Zarya instead. At least in my own personal opinion, I think it's just better. The Winston, you want to play a lot slower with that Zarya anyway. But Ball Sig, yeah, as you mentioned, very, very good, particularly if you can get this high ground control. We're going to see these comps lock in any second here. This defensive one is one I'm going to be very curious about. You mentioned the Zen that could be played into Ball Tracer. I think good luck because then you are putting the lives, you're putting the life of your Zenyatta pretty much solely in the hands of your Brigitte and your D.Va. I would not want to play Zen into Ball Tracer. I think it's playable, and I think absolutely right. The Discord orb is going to put, as you said, so much damage, such burst. It's gonna scare that Wrecking Ball. That Wrecking Ball cannot just grapple in 420 miles an hour and just pile drive directly onto the face of the Zenyatta, especially with a Brigitte, with a D.Va, and with maybe a McCree or another hit stand there as well, just to sort of really ward off and deny that first slam and deny that first kill that comes in from the ball and sort of disable that comp for an extra 10 seconds or so. But it looks like even with the hit stand nerfs, Mr. Dragonlaw are going to be confident on that Widow, going to pick it up, and it's just standard dive here. It's something double bubble-esque, but Keck's going to be playing the D.Va instead. High ground, just way too good on this map. Yeah,
100%. I mean, we're looking at overall the Widow coming out looking the best of all the hit scans. So as we see this blue box contention from Dragon already, get in that power position on the map. The dive is in from Dame. He's just going to take control of that high ground. It's going to be a slow, laborious push of this payload. Just one member of Sequoia going to be holding on to that as this high ground battle now does kick off. And look at the ult charge already for Dame, halfway to his primal rage. Killer will fall, however, and it's a long walk back. If you are taking this first fight within the first minute here, that's going to be a 5v6, probably going to force all of half pace back. With the Brigitte falling as well, that's going to be the space comfortably taken for Sequoia, and they are moving forward, taking the space that they can, and the snowball, the domino effect now coming in. Kek's going to be taken out of their mech as the infrasites coming in from Dragon, not going to be doing all that much. You know where they all are, and it's going to be used to get out as effectively as possible. As this first point, blink and you'll miss it, it's already over, Jace.
A really quick cap from Alcio, that was impressive off the back of Kyo, I believe, doing some vital picks to open that fight, and now they get kind of easier. This second point for Gibraltar is notoriously hard to crack down, but once they win that first neutral fight, they're going to have ultimates to snowball. Primal for Decay, Nano for Sayoku, and I think the way of ultimates, this should be a fight that Altiora can win, and one they absolutely can win. They should believe that they can win it. It looks like Ilpi, though, first to the Nano, onto Deme.
Yep, and that's just so much damage. The D-Mech comes through. Kek's going to be getting that. The High Noon out, however, in contention. Sequoia trying to stave off this attack, but the Primal Rage Angry Monkey now is on the payload and just slowing this down, causing death and destruction. Confusion as well now as everybody split into all corners of the world. Killer going to be falling down to Lutstar, however, getting the better of him. This Decay's now got the Nano on him, and it's really a game of patience that pays off for Sequoia here. They withstand the onslaught from half pace, and they just punch back with equal and excellent force.
They soak it like a sponge, and then they give it back like a machine gun, ladies and gentlemen. It was a mistake, though, unfortunately, from Deme. Don't really want to point it out too much. You hate to see it, but that Nano and that Primal were sort of committed together. Maybe the Primal was forced, let's call it forced, but that means that Deme could not hold the space as much as they needed to allow Mr. Dragonlord and Killer to get these picks. But payload 3 meters from, that's a pulse bomb eaten though, but Killer in the backline looking to do work, already found one.
Yeah, Killer finds a pick already, so this is going to be probably just a reset coming up from Sequoia. They've got all the time in the world. They don't have to take an anti-deal engagement as they do start to back off. They're still poking and prodding, and they think they can catch someone on the rotate here up on this high ground by the Mega Health Pack.
And they find Killer?
They find Killer, and that's an overstep and a half. Now the rally committed as well, going in. All guns blazing. The self-destruct over the top going to be taken out. Deme and the High Noon out from Mr. Dragon, takes out Kyo, but surely at this point all is done unless Mr. Dragon comes with big rolls for the... He goes for the Nano boost and will get that D-Mech as Killer's now back into the fray. So difficult to hold on to this push as Primal Rage from Decay is just going to stave it off, and Anti-Nade kills the Baby Diva as well. Surely now just going to be enough to hold off on this Streets phase as Deme will fall as the Wrecking Ball.
As good as these DPS players are, you are no match for a Primal Raged Winston. Decay being able to displace that electric cowboy of Mr. Dragonlord is going to be the second point cap. And onto this third point, and they're chasing kills. They're looking to get this Winston, this Diva. Can they get him? If they can pop this Diva mech and disengage, take that high ground, it's going to be really good for Altiora. And once again, we're seeing the ult advantage of these consistently won fights come in for this attacking side. So Yoku has got that Nano again, ready to go. They cannot match it this time. Ilpi unable to mirror, and this is ult advantage. Alpha recognize they've got an ult advantage. Nice and early ult coming in from Kyo on that High Noon. Lutstar manages to... Oh, it's even better. Sandwatch finds that Tracer from Killer. He's gone down early again, and this snowball comes in thick and fast. That's rally popped.
Yeah, Killer going down for the third time first in these fights now, and this is just so much space. You've got no worry of flankers coming around your side, and the Pulse Bomb is available for Killer, so that would have been a big looming threat. That's no longer present for them. Pulse Bomb comes out, however, from Lutstar, doesn't find them all that much, but Deme will fall down. The self-destruct over the top as well from Kex to try and stave off this damage as Killer back in the fray now. Throws that pulse bomb to no avail, but they've staved off the damage just about. Now comes in the retake Decay, popping that Primal Rage, who is anti-naded up, but very dangerously close to the edge now. Is this Brigitte going to be going oh so low? The D-Mech comes through as well, will fall. Decay does enough with the aid of Kyo, but another good bio-nade onto the front line of Sequoia. Going to be putting them in some grave danger as Dragonlord going to be picking up a kill. Just the Brigitte healing now available as the High Noon comes through. No one can touch. They do find Gibraltar with a healthy time bank.
That is a speedrun and a half from Altiora. That's really impressive. I don't want to call it just yet because honestly it felt like, as much as I want to give credit to Altiora, and I'll talk about why they were so clean, quick, and lethal in a second. The one thing that sticks in my mind for I think 3 fights they had, Demi dies with Nano. With the Nano applied onto him, unable to primal, unable to jump away, so deep with that primal, was antied up, was focused down, no DM in sight. from Kex. No trace from that alpha from Killer. He was picked off. Mr. Dragon low, unable to support that Winston on that McCree. Lost LOS and Anna thanks to the bubble that came in from Decay, the counter bubble. So yes, Alciora reading this primal, reading these engages from this Winston well, yeah, because Decay and Ed are really holding themselves, not going in, waiting for that Winston to come in when they know Nano is up, counter bubbling, dealing with that Winston, bursting him down, and then progressing onto the backline of half pace. Alciora really in control of the tempo, in control of the space, in control of the off angles, in control of these flanks. Now, in control of these flanks, you know they are in control of these flanks because Killer is going down pretty much at the start of every fight. He's been found out on this angle consistently by Kex and by Luke Star in particular. They're doing a really good job of punishing this Tracer. No free value for the time-traveling British woman. And it's been clean sailing for them so far. Now they've got first point control. They've got blue box. Let's see how good their defensive fundamentals are still.
Yeah, and this is when, playing the McCree versus this Widowmaker is very, very interesting, is you don't have that high ground for free now. You don't have that blue box coming in. You do have more stability around the core. And seeing this, the payload's actually contested here, Jace, which is really interesting because it does just chip away at the time bank.
Yeah.
That half pace have to work with, and this early fight that's being taken on the payload before it's even gone down to the mega health pack is just going to dwindle away, and it forces the fight onto the high ground here, and they get blown up Hiroshima style, absolutely nuked, going to be sent back to spawn, and this payload's not going anywhere. This is so well worked from Sequoia to slow down this payload's progression, and it's going to have to be a rethink from half pace.
Yeah, I think the phrasing, the terminology is almost spot on. That was a war crime, poor Demi. Gets the full anti-nade experience, but on the plus side, he's going to die and say it's worth his LP is rewarded with Nano, and there we go. This time can Demi live, going to be building up to that primal, so this is the most vulnerable Winston to get. Look how burst he gets so fine. So Yoku finds that box, there we go. Demi unleashed, finds the 2K onto the back line.
Yeah, the retaliation is so good from half pace there. Dragon getting 2, and Daymay with Angry Monkey finding the D-Mech as well right at the end. Gonna force the reset from Aether there, and this should be the first point taken over for half pace. They had a momentary lapse where Daymay gets a little overzealous and finds himself back in spawn, but like you said, with the aid of the Nano into the primal rage there, that's no battle whatsoever. Decay now, the one with this primal ready to go. He goes very, very low indeed as this battle for the ship commences. The anti-nade is huge, however, from half pace. Daymay will fall, that being said. Luke Star gets his number. This payload again, just slowing down. The fight's being taken on the payload to just halt the progress is so frustrating and so well executed from Sequoia. They've now stopped the payload in such a frustrating area for half pace.
Absolutely. The last time I casted LP, he got this same treatment as well on the Ana. Got full hold on second, I believe, with fifth dimension just by essentially a Winston and Tracer combo. They've got to walk in. There we go. LP back to spawn. You go thanks to the stick of Luke Star, and it was a clean fight win for that attacking side, but unfortunately the ultimates were ready to go for this defensive side, and now this defensive side have this control. They've got the Winston on one high ground, they've got the Tracer on another. This attacking side, they need to stage, they need to walk in, and when they walk in, they're just going to be found time and time again. If it's not the Ana, it's going to be the Brig. If it's not the Brig, it's going to be the McCree, and it's going to be very, very painful. They're going to need these ultimates, this attacking side, and even if they win this fight, right, even if this attacking side managed to break open, look where the payload is. They're going to have to go into probably an ult advantage by the defending team into that second point. Now all the pace, all the tempo, all the control really for Altair, and that's TO 2K with that high noon.
There is, and I mean, Killer goes down first again. Luke Star looking to be the better Tracer on Gibraltar, it seems, as the rally is popped, however, from Sequoia. So there's a lot of ults expended this fight for the defending side, and what I was going to say is that they've got a wonderful opportunity to snowball their ultimates now, and they still do, but perhaps they're looking a little bit too thin on the ult economy now. They've got the Primal Rage, they've got the Nano ready to go, so it is certainly possible, but Deme wants to go in first. Nano is committed onto him as the Electric Brigitte coming out of all things to try and stave this off. Dragon goes down to Aether, and Sandbox wants to get their flail dirty here in a small room. The Brigitte gonna get in and involved. Luke Star very, very low indeed, and the sleep onto Deme. It's used before the Primal Rage comes out as the two monkeys brawl in backlines respectively, trying to get killed. It's Decay who comes out on top initially, however, and the D-Mech comes through as well onto Kex as the numbers just fall for half pace. Sequoia looking pretty damn good. Deme 17 HP, accepts defeat and goes back to spawn.
Sam Watts picks up a pair. It was nice engage though, nice disengage at the start of that fight. I thought for sure there was a window of opportunity for this attacking side to win it, but nonetheless, very clean gameplay once again from this defensive role. They just had them pincered in that tight room, even with the rallying Brigitte available and up and very much online. They just weren't able to sustain through it. That nano from Sequoia came in early just to overforce them there. They had no resources to deal with that off-angle loot star. And Decay finds Demi again. He gets picked off right at that start of the fight once again.
And that just completely stifles all progress you've got here. Yeah, look, Decay's just happy as Larry to push on forward here. The D-Mech, the kill onto the honor, it's just all easy as you like it. And look at how far Kyo's pushed forward. They want the kills. They have to try and recoup some of that ult economy that they previously lost. And now they do have self-destruct. They've got the nano, they've got the pulse bomb. This is a very, very winnable fight, again, for the defense. Yeah,
a minute left on the clock. It's ticking down, and it's ticking down slowly. This nano again is up from Sequoia that cannot be matched immediately by LP. So it's a difficult fight, and one at a time, piece by piece, they're slowly clawing away at this time point. This road turns into a mountain here. It's 4 half pays, and it gets harder every single fight. And this defensive side, they can really take it at their own pace. LP though, applying the nano onto Demi. Let's see if he can get value. Found a pair last time with that primal rage. No such luck though as LP falls early. Huge pick for Decay.
Absolutely, I believe the nano boost is lost as well. So Decay now finds the second support as well, and the dominoes finally fall on this streets phase. Ship is occupied by Sequoia here, looking pretty good as the defense just hold on when it all looked so bad. Dame not able to get anything done, as that is disastrous now. The defense hold on, and this is looking like final fight with 3 ultimates. Oh, this is disaster for half pace.
Absolutely is, and I don't want to say that half pace have panicked, but they've swapped to Reinhardt on Gibraltar seconds. If that doesn't say something, ladies and gentlemen, not quite sure what it is. They just have to take through this high ground. That's loot star pick though. Can they find this Lucio? If they can, it's going to be massive. There we go. So now they're locked in a room with no speed boost.
Yeah, Kyo with that high noon though finds nothing in this payload, now being pressured out. Decay is cool as a cucumber, finds 2 kills, surely puts the nail in the coffin there. Sequoia holding on streets phase Gibraltar to bring the series 1-1 with the heroics from the Winston and the Anna working in beautiful tandem.
Yeah, goose ray moment for Decay. Gets a bit of a victory lap there. Was just very clean Winston gameplay. Every time he hard committed, he had that diva of text with him. He had that nano applied, and hey, even Sam Watts managed to get involved in the kerfuffle in the room as well. Not a word you hear every day, ladies and gents, but one for the dictionary nonetheless. And honestly, I think kerfuffle is a good word for it. It was a skirmish, it was a brawl. Even with these dive tanks coming out, both teams really jockeying, really vying for space, and in the end, just I said it right at the start. Once they won that first fight on the defense, the fact that LP, the fact that Deme, the fact that Kets, the fact that they had to walk into this point, they had to walk in through one of those very tight, very narrow doorways on this Gibraltar hold. It just really was not favorable. They got punished, they got pincered, they got collapsed, they got choked. As is the name of that choke point, they really got abused every time. As soon as those doors closed up, it was just so unfavorable. And poor LP, man. Last time I casted LP, pretty much exactly the same thing happened. Just got pincered by Winston and Tracer for 4 minutes, and it's exactly what happened there. It's as old as time. Gesture Profit were doing it back in the day. Esther and Miro were doing it as well, and it was just so unfortunate. And sometimes with Morgan, you've got to reload my OBS. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen.
Altiora Sequoia showing that they're not going down without a fight. Half pace, the big baddies of the series, gonna have it taken to them on Gibraltar. Before we head to the next map, we are going to a short break. Don't go anywhere, as this is a banger that you're not going to want to miss. We'll see you then.